Do you have any favorite roles? Do you have any challenging roles that you were like, "Meh"?
I just did my favorite absolute role, my dream role.
P.S. I know. I was just going to say, I know that you did, so I'm bringing it up.
Like Shaw did the mountaintop about 10 years ago or so. And every Black girl in the city auditioned for that shit. And I remember thinking, like, this is my role. And of course I didn't get it. And so I was using the mountaintop as my directing study at NTS just by chance, because I love that play. I love Katori Hall's writing. It's some of the most exquisite Black female playwriting that I have ever read, witnessed, absorbed into my fucking DNA. And I just love that Kame character is just stunning writing. Then MTC, Royal Manitoba Theatre Centre, did it here this year as a filmed version and cast me in it. And it was really perfect because I had been doing all of this research and work on it for 6 months. I've never met a character so fully and dived into a character so fully in my life. And I'm a hard worker. I've always worked hard to like discover the character in the play, but like I have never gone this deep before. And now I know the work that needs to be done to do that. And I look back on the work that I've done and think, oh, that wasn't enough. And I'm sure there's even more to do, but it was like interesting and satisfying and wonderful to meet that character so fully as I did. Oh, it was a dream. It was a dream. I think, the most frustrating thing about it was that we worked so hard for it and then we filmed it and it was done. And you don't get any of that payoff of like going through the performances. So
Don't laugh. But whenever anything happens in my life, like, oh my God, look, I washed the dishes. I'd be like, did you see that I washed the dishes? And then accolades. I need accolades. Like I'm so starved for accolades being a theater performer that I'm constantly like, was I good? What I did? We're so accustomed to always receiving some sort of validation from an audience, from a director, from your peers, from your,
yes.
It's
but
so
it's
crazy.
also about that exchange, right? That's the thing about theater on film. I'm not really convinced about Zoom theater and like filmed theater even, because it's so clear when you do it that this is a medium that needs that reaction, that agreement between you and the audience. And when you don't have that, it's so clear what is lacking from that experience. TC talks about that at Shaw all the time.
Yeah, the fourth character in the show is the audience, right?
Yeah.
I just had this conversation with somebody else, like another theater maker at a Blacktor studio situation, because I've seen a few of them, not many, of the filmed version of a theater piece. And we're not talking about like the televised live performances of musicals, which have happened over the last few years, like Rent or like Hairspray or like Grease. Even those, though, I find myself conflicted to watch those for many reasons. I find that, they always go, we'll just cast somebody who can sing this role today, but couldn't sing it 8 shows a week.
Right.
And which hurts my feelings in general, but
yes.
I digress. You're like, that's so cool. I'm so glad and grateful that this is happening, but you miss some of that opportunity for response. I saw The Mountaintop on Broadway with Samuel L. Jackson and Angela Bassett, and it's very funny.
There's no response. You get nothing.
No response.
You only have your fellow actor in that show to connect to rely on, which was an interesting experience to like really be so like laser focused on your scene partner in a way that I never have been before. It's always in the other person that you should be receiving that information from, but like you also usually have the audience. So to rely so heavily on your scene partner, like, and that relationship, I hope that that's where the magic happens. And I don't know if that's translated in film at all, and we'll see. I'm really curious. My favorite example of so far of like a filmed version of theater was Factory's show with Natasha Mumba. That was the most successful thing I've seen so far, and it felt the most theater-like. And the fact that there were like 200 other people watching this at the same time as you, felt like we were in
a community.
Yes. And I am curious to see how Mountaintop turns out. That's the other thing. When you film something, you don't get to see it until it comes out. And you're like,
do the thing and you walk away. Just, I guess that's it.
Not knowing.
I guess, see you on the flip side.
Yeah. That's the thing I love about directing. And I think why I've been directing more than I have acting lately.
Have you ever been asked to do something extraordinary for a role?
Yeah. Dracula, I had to be topless for. I think in Europe, somebody would see that and be like, so the fuck what? But I had never done nudity before on stage. And then, like, to do nudity for the first time on the main stage in front of thousands of people night after night is just like, and I'm a grown ass woman playing a 17-year-old girl. And that was hard. I was in great hands. My scene partners for that part was Alan Louis, who is amazing, and I could not feel safer doing that scene with him. But it was a challenge, you know. I have had varying levels of, like, you know, joy and pain with my own self-worth of my own body as a woman in this industry, as a Black woman. I often am, like, you know, really skeptical about the over sexualization of Black bodies on stage. So I was, you know, I was scared about it, but I did it. But did I love it? Maybe not. It was an interesting challenge. I think it was handled with a lot of care. As an actor and as a woman, as a person, I never felt used or you know, exploited in any way. It was one of my most favorite fun roles to play. I mean, I got to start the play as an impetuous 17-year-old girl who turns into a vampire, who then gets to wear fangs and has beautiful frigging
I was gonna
costumes.
say your costumes were amazing.
Amazing, right? And Lucy's the best part in that play for me personally, because she's the most fun and has such a delicious transformation. And, you know, it was operatic in scale. I would be more reticent to do it on film, and I don't think I would. It was like this challenge as a grown ass woman to do it at that point in my life. Even 5 years prior, I probably wouldn't have done it, but to do it as a grown ass woman on stage at this time in my life where I'm like, wow, at this age, I'm doing nudity. It felt like a challenge that didn't scare me anymore at that point. It was still a little scary, but I'm glad I experienced it. I would say the next challenge I had before that was I got to fly in Christmas Carol, 30 feet in the air as the ghost of Christmas past. And having done nudity and flying, check, did it, done it, probably won't do it again.
Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode of the Blacktor Studio.
I love the creation process. Those 3 weeks that you get to be in that room and create, that's where the joy is for me. And that's where, like, oh, the imagination and everything, that's what thrives and fills my theater soul. So, like, the performance, I was actually really happy to film it at first because I was like, wicked. I'm so glad I don't have to do a run of this show. I'm so overdoing runs. I'm like, I'm a director now.
I don't do that anymore. That's for those
Right.
lowly actors.
But, like, the beauty of directing, which I love, is that you get to have this, like, symbiosis of creativity, and then you're done. And then it's not your responsibility. It's in the actors and stage managers' hands. There's a gorgeous release in that I have found in directing that is just delicious.